Today you can see me print and work out these pieces, and I am printing with an unusual kind of paint. The results are subtle and light prints, and I love them. Hello print fans! This is a piece of another video that I made printing watercolors, acrylics and inks, and this is a background I produced in that session and in use. So today I want to print on this. So I'm cleaning the gel plate with a baby wipe, which works well with water-based paints. On this background I want to try a photo transfer, and as this is quite a light background, I was thinking that I wanted a light print motif on it too. So I will try to print with Distress Oxide today. They are like stamp pads. I saw it in another video that it works well with photo transfers, but I want to try it with printing objects too. So if you're into light, soft and pale prints, this is for you. I'm starting with the color ground espresso. I am pressing down the pad rather lightly and moving it a bit at the same time to let go of more paint. I'm building up a shape here. I only need a larger triangle, and you will see why when you see the motif. And this is the photo that I want to print. Ta-da! Sorry, I hope you're not disappointed. I've used this photo in at least 3 videos or so, but I just love it. So this is a test print with a blank paper, and I'm just rubbing it onto the gel plate a little bit, not for very long. What you see here is that you don't see much. I put a white paper underneath it so you can see, but it's very light. And now I'm picking that up. And you can see it's very detailed. It's very, very fine and nice. And I love it. It's very light, so if you don't like that, then this is not yours. You see down there, you can see the shapes of the stamps, of the pads, and I like that too. So that was a rather successful print. Now I want to combine the blue color with the ground espresso. And I'm using a photo that I've used before also, and my heart goes out to McGeiz as usual for giving me the idea to print the Brighton Pier. Oh, and I shouldn't forget to say that this is a laser copy, a laser print or copy, and you cannot do this with an inkjet printer, but you can also not do this with every laser printer. I have a Brayer laser printer which doesn't work, and I have a black and white by Hewlett & Packard which works fine. So yeah, but if you go to the copy store, those should work fine. So this was another test print, and it worked fine, as you can see. Very light again, but very detailed. So now what I'm doing now is that I'm using the photo that I've inked on. I'm using it again because I want to try if you can use it a second time. And this time it's going to be on my nice background. As you really couldn't tell the blue from the brown in the print, I'm using only the brown espresso color. So putting it on that laser print again, rubbing it in. It's funny, you can see it through the paper. Yeah, it's very light again. And then I turn the Gelli plate around to place it where I want it in my background. And this is how it turned out. It's a little too light. Also, I think the background should be a lot lighter, maybe. And I think this one could do with a little workout with the pencils. I should have taken the first print actually for this one. And now I want to print an object. And this is really interesting. It's really it was apart from a packaging for, I don't know, something technical I ordered. And I loved it immediately because it sort of looks like a caterpillar. And yeah, we'll see how it turns out. I'm combining the espresso with blue again and just pressing it on. But I should have taken the pad stamping to the outer rims. But it looks really nice. I actually like the fact that it's shorter on one side of the caterpillar. So the legs are shorter on one side. And yeah, this is, I'm testing. The color goes directly into the paper and doesn't smear anymore, which is fine. I'm liking this a lot. But anyway, I'm not further developing this print. But it was a good test. Paper and cardboard always work so well. Now for my historical objects. I have two portemonnaies and a silver lighter, a silver cigarette box with a kind of Art Deco design, and some old West German money, some coins. And don't worry about these things because the Distress ink you can wipe off rather easily. Oh, and another ink pad just arrived with a black color. I forgot to mention that. So I'm trying out the black, which is probably going to be going to give me some more contrasts. So every object I'm pressing on for a bit and wiggling it about just a little bit, but not too much. Yeah, the coins, they're like very delicate. I hope that works. You can see a little bit how the shapes turned out, but you only see it when you print it, and it's much darker than I expected. It is, well, it's interesting. Looks a little bit like X-ray, doesn't it? And yeah, I'm working this out with a little bit of chalk and some other pencils. And but I don't finish this one because I didn't like the darkness of it. And I guess you could just, you know, paint around the objects with a white acrylic paint and only get the shapes of the objects. But I didn't feel like it, so it's gonna stay half ready. And I want to try it again with a little less ink because that was obviously a little too much. And again, I'm printing a photo of an old East German book I had. Yeah, and you can already see that the photo transfers really work well. Yeah, I like this. And I think just with a little more pencil workout, this could be an interesting piece. Inking up again. The upper part with the green and the lower part with the espresso color. And I'm printing a shopping bag that I got. And it gave me some nice prints before with the little flowers. But with the Distress ink, it didn't really work. So I'm pressing on some dried orange slices, yeah. And you cannot see it on the gel plate, but here you can see that they show a little. Gonna print some more on this one. Now I'm working out the tools on the book print that I made. It was a book from the GDR, which was East Germany before the wall came down. So this must be from the 80s or maybe even the 70s. I'm just giving the tools some shadows. I'm not going to do so much on this one because it's basically just a rough copy of the original, so it's not that interesting for me, I have to say. The only unusual thing that I'm developing here is those little spots that the Gelli Plate gave me. Well, that's not super freaking unusual, is it? And I'm working this out a little bit more with a chalk pencil, a reddish one, just for the letters up there. By the way, this means self-made. And I'm giving the letters an inner black shadow, assuming that the light comes from the top left. And the little round balls get a little red as well. And now this is a saw that has, I don't know what it's called, but this piece is not visible in the print because it doesn't have a contrast to the other tools. So I'm cutting out that one and then transferring it on another print on a silk paper, a Chinese paper that I printed on. And I like it because it's going well with the red of the letters. I'm weighing it down with a little metal thing and then gluing it on. And now I'm working with an even redder pencil because I thought the red chalk is not red enough. So I'm going all around and lining out the shapes that the pads made as well. And now I'm coming in with a stencil. This is one of my favorite stencils to give the first word up there something in the background or in the inside. And I'm also making these things three-dimensional. And this is how it turned out. I'm giving the historical objects another shot and trying to use a little less of that ink pad and rolling it out with a brayer. Placing the objects on. And when everything is in place, I'm taking off the paint around the objects with a tissue. And just with a very light tissue that has no pattern of its own. And it's working quite well. And I'm also I'm taking the objects off and then taking paint off between them. It's hard to tell where they end, but it's okay. You can, if you have a good light, it works. That worked very well. Yeah, I think I can do something, make something out of this with a fine liner and some other paint. But first I'm going back to the orange slice print. I'm rolling out the black paint in the lower half of the gel plate and putting on some orange slices again, the dried ones. Taking off the paint around it, as I did before. By the way, this Neckermann sign, that's a German company, and it used to produce things like fridges and things like that, all kinds of electric devices. And I thought it kind of fits a little bit to the oranges, if that makes any sense. So I'm working out this one, giving the very light orange slices in the upper part a little more color with the dark green or pine green. By the way, all the materials that I'm using in this video will be listed in the info box below the video. And the darker oranges don't have a lot of contrast, so I'm still adding black pencil. And I'm working out the inner shapes and structures of the oranges. Here I'm using my favorite fabric marker, which always works well on the prints I made. The good thing is it's very subtle, and if you feel like you've done too much, if you're quick, you can always, smear it like I just did with your hand. So take some off. And now I'm working on the Neckerman brand sign to make it a little more legible. Enhancing the shadows. And I want to paint over it with this gold metallic medium. It's an acrylic medium by Liquitex. It has a gold color. You can mix it in with other colors, but that effect is not very strong. And I'm just using it purely by itself. And I like the shimmery effect. It's not as shiny as gold paints. And again, I want to strengthen the outlines that the pads gave me. And in this case, they look like mountains. It's the infamous green orange slice mountains. You might have heard of them. I want to employ a fluid Distress Oxide. I like the color a lot. It's called Rusty Hinge. And I want to give the lower oranges a little orange color, so that they're really oranges. But I have to say that I don't like this very much. It's a little too opaque. And so I'm reusing that red chalk by Koh-i-Noor, that red chalk pencil. I can control this opacity better. Yeah, I like how this one turned out. Could have a little more contrast, but I'm leaving it like this. Working on the historical objects with a fine liner. I think it's perfect for this one. And then adding some of the the fluid Distress Oxide, the Rusty Hinge, and also my gold medium for the little lockers. Are they called lockers? I don't know. And the coins, they get their original color, copper and gold. So this one's finished, or maybe it's not finished, but at this point I stop. And I kind of like it unfinished like this. Next week, I'm going to work out this one a little more, which it's very delicate, and I'm a little afraid I might ruin it. And then I also printed 2 rhinos. Well, it was the same rhino that I printed twice, and look how exciting this one turned out. So I'm looking forward to next week, and I hope you had some fun and inspiration today. And I'll see you then. Bye.